Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible? Can anyone confirm me? Am I audible? Assalamu alaikum. Okay, thank you then. Okay, dear brothers and sisters, we will start shortly, just sharp at 2:30, inshallah. Dear brothers and sisters, we are going to start our session shortly. We are just waiting for our honorable speaker. Just wait a bit. And one more thing, we already shared the attendance link on the chat box. Please go through the link and fill that form and ensure that you already attended over there. And it's really important because otherwise CPS didn't know, do not know your attendance. Okay, may I know is our speaker Dr. Hazizan is there or not? If you are here, we just start formally. No. May I know is our speaker for this session is already with us? If you are here, just maybe unmute yourself and or okay, Dr. Hazizan, thank you very much. I saw you. Okay, we're just waiting for you, and I just start right now.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Sorry for that. Yes.
Okay, doctor. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to start, inshallah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear respected speakers, honorable guests, and beloved postgraduate students, welcome to the afternoon session of the first day of Ta'aruf Week 2023. I hope you all had a great lunch break and performed Johur prayer on time. Now we are ready to continue the program with an informative session treating postgraduate studies within Maqasid framework, meaning and implications. This is MD Alamgir Hussain, the president of Postgraduate Student Society at IAUM, will be the master of ceremony for this afternoon session. I hope you all will bear me for the next 1.5 hours. Okay, in this session, we are honored to have Associate Professor Dr. Hazizan Muhammad Noon, a lecturer at Abdullah Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kulli of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. As our speaker, Dr. Hazizan will shed light on the meaning and implication of treating postgraduate studies within the Maqasid framework. As we all know, Maqasid al-Sharia is the framework that guides all aspects of Islamic teaching, including education. Therefore, understanding the implication of Maqasid framework in postgraduate studies is really crucial. Dr. Hazizan's speech will help us to understand the significance of Maqasid in postgraduate studies and how we can benefit from it. Okay, before going to Dr. Hazizan, I would like to remind you, all of you, we have a Q&A session immediately after Doctor's session will be finished. I mean the speaking one. So immediately we will have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, while the presentation is going on, just please feel free to write those questions on the chat box. We'll try to accumulate all the questions and inshallah we'll ask the professor. And if you want to directly talk with professor, so as because it's a virtual one, you just need to unmute yourself and just directly ask your questions. So be prepared for that. So without a further ado, I would like to welcome and invite Dr. Hazizan for delivering his speech. From now and onwards, Doctor, the floor is yours. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother MC. Yeah? Let me try to see if I can. Can you see my slide?
Yes, Doctor, not yet visible. I think it's on the process. It's on the way.
Oh, okay. I think the internet is quite slow.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, I think in my place is okay. Now it's visible, Doctor.
Now it's okay. Eh?
Yeah, now
so.
now it's okay. Now it's okay. You can just proceed.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Let me give salam to you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh again, if I have given it before. Now, actually, I am not very sure what is expected of me to speak on this topic. However, I will simply try to share with you some of the thoughts that I have regarding not really maqasid, or sometimes people call it maqasid al-sharia, and there are other terms also which have been used, because this maqasid issue or topic has been deliberated in a number of ways. So I will try to be guided by my slide a little bit, and I would love to have more interaction with the participants. I know that maybe I was made to understand that the participants are from different faculties or kuliahs, and therefore it is only right for us to see how the lofty objectives of religion, if I can put it that way, can be taken as part of our endeavor in our knowledge seeking process, so that we will always be guided by what is desired or what is intended by religion. Now, to put it in perspective, I am addressing postgraduate students, and I assume this postgraduate students are new students for this coming intake, semester 2, 2022-2023. I have glanced through the poster, and I found that you will be exposed to a number of activities during this Ta'aruf period. And this is meant for equipping you with a number of necessary information regarding not only the university, but also the programs that you are going to follow. So my slot has been scheduled to take place at the time when I think this one is I think this one is general. And this time actually is not a good time. I would say that this is not a good time for a number of reasons. You rightly mentioned that you hope others or the participants have a good lunch. So when you have a good lunch, then the implication of having good lunch also is, should be expected. So anyway, what I could gather from the post is that the topic that I have been entrusted to say a few words, and later we will share. Now, actually, this topic has its own background. I will mention a little bit, and I also would have to clarify certain things. What I will be doing in a very simple way, we don't have to necessarily take 1.5 hours to do this, but I will simply have this very broad and important structure for my presentation. I will begin with introduction. And since in the topic there are keywords, and two keywords which are important, the meanings of the meanings and also implication, the last part. But the other two keywords, the meanings refers to the other two keywords, which are Maqasid framework as well as postgraduate studies. So I will touch a little bit on this, and then let us see how we can use this to be the basis for our interaction. Actually, the original topic given to me is, it was Maqasid. Maqasid. So I would say that this is very, very broad topic. And after giving some thought, I would think that why not the spirit of this topic, that is the spirit of Maqasid, we try to make it more narrow, if not very specific. And I suggested that we talk generally about how to treat postgraduate studies, however you want to define it, within this lofty objective of religion. Because as what has been mentioned by our MC, Islam is relevant to all aspects, and Maqasid Sharia is also one of the topics that has been used to explain religion in one way or another. So we need to be more open on this. We need to be more flexible in looking at things, as long as we are actually on the right track in order to connect and to realize or materialize religious teachings in each and every aspect of life. And in our context, postgraduate studies, we are basically learner at this level of education. The same can apply. That is the spirit of Maqasid to be considered when we are going through the process of education at this level of studies. It means that how are we going to explain the intention of religion, the lofty goals or objective of religion in the context of postgraduate studies. Of course, this can be presented, can be explained in a number of ways, but I think we will be listening also to how you see this spirit operated in our studies. Now, so therefore, the proposed topic is treating postgraduate studies within Maqasid framework. Maybe the Maqasid framework sounds like more like academic or whatever, but I think I will simply refer to what the to the 5 Maqasid that we have known already. Now, so I mentioned just now that although we are going to talk about Maqasid as the term, but in essence, what we have in our mind and in our heart, the intention is always for a Muslim, a committed Muslim, for example, in particular. Of course, we know that for the non-Muslims, this should be an information for them to understand how Muslims look at things. And Maqasid is only a term that is used for explaining what is coming from religion in different ways, for example. But in essence, right from the very beginning, what has become the concern of a Muslim is to see how religion that is characterized by certain peculiarities, like being comprehensive, being grounded in the divine teaching, being balanced religion, and so on. All these peculiarities of religion, of Islam, reflect that Islam is relevant to all matters in our life and to all times. So the question is how we can make religion as part and parcel of what we are doing. And in our context is the postgraduate learning or education process. So I think that basically will have to be explained, because although there are many other terms that we use in order to explain this and that, but at the end of the day, one single purpose of a committed Muslim is how Islam can be implemented at the individual level as well as the family and social level. And by Islam, we mean a number of things, one of which is Islamic worldview, for example, which tells us about the nature and also the understanding about life. What is life for a Muslim? So when life is defined as such that it also includes what we do in this world, and the implication would be not only for this world, but also for life in the hereafter or after this world, then that is also part of the knowledge of Islamic worldview. Islamic worldview, among others, tells people that in Islam, when we say life, life is not only for being concerned with the life in this world, but the life in the hereafter. And both worlds, this world and the hereafter, they are organically connected, meaning that what we are doing in this world will have bearings upon our later life. So that kind of things that we are concerned. So today, although we are going to use the word maqasid, this is only to celebrate the new or the terminology that has been widely used, but in essence, it is meant for ensuring how comprehensive religious system is observed in our life for the benefit of our worldly life as well as the life in the hereafter. So, in a nutshell, what is to be done is subjecting our life to the lofty goal of religion. So basically, human has his or her own life. So this worldly life has to be subjected to this goal of religion in order to gain the benefits that are promised to us, the benefits for this world and also for the hereafter. And this is reflected in, for example, the supplication and the prayer that Muslim used to say, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina azaban nar. That we ask God to give us good life in this world and good life in the hereafter, and also to be away from the torment of the hell. So I think this is, in essence, even if I we'll continue with some more details. I think this is what is the spirit behind my presentation today. Okay, so then let us look at the meanings. Of course, I would assume that we have heard about the word maqasid, and also, of course, the 5 maqasid. I will mention this. Actually, it is not only 5, but the famous one will be around these 5 areas. So we are going to confine our understanding within this. Now, as I said, by maqasid framework, I simply refer to the 5 maqasid that are popular in the use of, or in the literature and so on. So postgraduate studies, this does not need introduction. Actually, there is, I think there is an error. The word, let me correct here. So the word should be T there, postgraduate studies. So I think this one, we don't need clarification. Mainly in our context, we are talking about masters and PhD. It could also be other advanced certificate and so on, whatever. All right, so let us look a bit at what we are used to know from this one. Since I have the short time to prepare this, so I have gone through the internet and trying to find some images from Google image and so on, just to help in this education process. And I attribute and also acknowledge what I am using now is coming from the internet for the purpose of, for the educational purpose that we are going to use. Now, the word Sharia, of course, maqasid al-Sharia is a popular phrase that has been used. If you go further and in a more detailed discussion, some would also use other terms. We are going to only look at some of what we have. So the word Sharia, as we all know, it can be used in the narrow sense, it can be used in the broader sense. When it is used in the broader sense, it means Islam as a whole. There is a divine system revealed by Allah to mankind through the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it was brought through the angel Jibril. But basically, as a system, it is a guidance that God Almighty Allah has provided Muslims and all humans. So this is a system of basically life. And in the context of what was given to the Prophet, the last Prophet, that is the Prophet Muhammad, it is through the Quran and also the Sunnah of the practices of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the system or the religion, or sometimes people call Islamic ideology, so we can have what you call discussion on this, but not in this context, contains this system, this religion contains teachings regarding beliefs, worship, daily affairs, manners, ethics, and all other areas of life. It also it provides this in order to organize our relationship with Him, that is, with the giver of the system or of the religion, as well as communication and interaction with human beings. And as you can see here also, the last part, that is to achieve happiness in this life and in the next. Basically, I have already mentioned about this. So this is only part of what we can gather from the explanation used in the website and internet. So here in this context, Sharia means Islam or Islamic system or Islamic religion. Of course, this is based on my understanding. I believe those who have specialized in certain area, particularly in the department of fiqh and also fiqh, will have more detail about this. I mentioned earlier on a number of peculiarities or special characteristics of Islam, but I would like to highlight one important characteristic of Islamic ideology or Islam itself, that is Rabbaniyah. And Rabbaniyah as a characteristic or as a peculiarity of Islam is important because it explains the nature of this religion. There could be other religions that have been there, but they have their own nature. As far as Islam is concerned, of course, it is based on what Allah has given us. It is the ultimate source is Allah. Yeah? So the word Rabbaniyah is from the word Rabb, like Rabbul Alameen, for example, the godliness of objective and goals. So the lofty goal of religion is also divine. It's also Rabbani. It indicates that the ultimate goal of Islam is to attain Allah's love, Allah's pleasure, Allah's consent. So from here, we can directly relate to whatever activities that we do during our postgraduate studies period. Yeah. So we may be, if you want to go to a specific activities of postgraduate studies, a normal one would be activities related to learning or gaining knowledge, activities related to assessment, activities related to doing research, activities related to writing for publication, all these things. So we ask ourselves as to why I'm doing this. Am I doing this only for as a normal routine as a postgraduate student? Or yes, we do this to fulfill certain academic requirement, but in addition, we have extra value added to what we are doing. So that's why with that perspective for a Muslim postgraduate student, in addition to doing what is common for or what is expected of a postgraduate student, that is to do things related to learning and assignment and publication and research, behind that, there is a kind of desire and intention to gain God's love, God's pleasure, God's. I think it means most of the time we do all these activities, normal activities for postgraduate, but behind that we are also adding value. So this added value is part and parcel of what it means by being religious. So therefore, this realization of the aim of human existence is very much comprehensive in that sense. And maybe the implication can immediately be seen. For example, freedom from slavery to one's own selfishness and desires. There could be occasion, and perhaps this is also normal for human, when they are doing certain thing, they are thinking about themselves. That is quite normal, perhaps. It is also natural for some. That is fitra. But with this kind of consciousness about the ultimate value that we expect out of our educational activities and intellectual activities, and that will redefine the worth of being a postgraduate student, where instead of being selfishness, the postgraduate that is selflessness, that has this kind of selflessness. So this concept and perspective is important, because there are times when we are only thinking about ourselves. We are not thinking about something that will give us a reward and value beyond the material and physical benefits that we can gain. So that is why viewing and seeing whatever that we do during our time as a postgraduate student in this light will help to release some of the submission to the lust and also to the desire, human desire, that is not quite positive in that sense. So human is created in the same way, but what makes them better or not so good is this is the way that we look at a thing, that is realization of the purpose of life. Yeah. So another thing that we can perhaps share here is that regarding maqasid al-sharia, as I already mentioned earlier, sharia was revealed by Allah to the Prophet Muhammad to free mankind from the grip of their own whims and fancy, al-hawa, so that they may submit and surrender to the will and guidance of Allah, as in Surah Al-Dhariyat, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. When I first joined this university in 1984, this verse, chapter 51, verse 56, has become the themes throughout the student what you call this life during that time. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجَنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have only created jinn and man that they may serve me. So if that is the case, meaning that the entire life is worship, is worship. So that is to serve Allah, and therefore it goes without saying that activities that we do during our postgraduate studies, either the typical ones or the other things that we add to this, will have to be what I call is coupled with this kind of spirit behind what we are doing. That is coming from religion. Yeah? So the primary objective of Sharia is providing benefit to people in their affairs of this world and the hereafter. Is again repeating the same thing. And then the Quran, one of the verses one. Now here it gives us the grounding for talking about the ultimate objective of religion. That is rahmah. Or rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to be the rahmah for all mankind. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. So therefore, as long as our endeavor in this world, either in postgraduate, related to postgraduate or others, is so long as we view this within this framework, then that should give us some inner conscience about what we are actually as a Muslim, and also perhaps this can also be knowledge for the non-Muslim about the Muslims' way of looking at things. Yeah. Now, this is, I think, more specific. I will not touch on this, the difference between Sharia and fiqh and so on. I think this is also learned. So now, this is what I would like to perhaps reiterate rather, instead of mention to you to know, because I believe everybody knows this. When we say objectives of Sharia or maqasid, should be, I think, should be as here. Of course, this slide I picked from the internet, is to safeguard and protect. But if you look further and read further on this, first, these are the 5 areas, the 5 maqasid that have been mentioned. One is the religion. Here is a safeguard and protect, but it is not only safeguard and protect. Yes, protection of the deen is only one aspect of this, but any effort at improving religious teachings, religious commitment, religious values is also a part of this process, and also perfecting. So protecting religion, improving religious commitment, religious practices, religious values, so that we become more and more perfect. So perfecting. All these are accounted as what they call is as part of the process of making ourselves a maqasid-based person, so that we see things in the light of this. So you then can, on your own, relate what you have learned and also do during your postgraduate studies, whether or not what you are doing contributes to this. So one thing that you do, either it is related to learning or to assignment or to research, to publication, and to other things. Is it done in the spirit of trying to protect religion, improving religion, and perfecting religion? By this, I don't mean that religion is already perfect. It is not that you are going to perfect religion, because Sharia is already perfect. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-islam madina. Religion is already perfect. But what we have to do as the practitioner of that particular religion is in terms of our own commitment. For example, the degree of our, or the quality of our belief and faith, let's say that even the quality, the quantity and the quality of practices of this. So number one is religion. Number two is nafs, that is jasad, and then aqal, and then nasab, and then al-mal. There are different terms that have been used also in this. For example, nasab or nasl, and so on. So in short, this may summarize this. In Arabic, hifzul aqal, for example, hifzul din, hifzul aqal, hifzul mal, hifzul nafs, hifzul nasab. So protection or preservation of if we take from here, preservation of intellect, preservation of faith, preservation of wealth, preservation of life, preservation of the nation. As you can see, when it comes to deliberation, scholars, thinkers, writers, they may use different words, terms to translate the word, let's say, hifzul nafs, and so on. Now, this is another way of how this is illustrated through a certain diagram. And as I said, different people may have different way of how this can be presented. Now, having understood the lofty intention of religion, that is to add value to whatever that we do. And in this context, we are talking about postgraduate studies. I only confine to three. One is when we study as a student and we join any higher learning institution at any level, undergraduate, postgraduate. First of all, we would like to, of course, gain knowledge, particularly knowledge of the subject matter and the area that we are joining, the faculty that we are joining or the department that we join. For example, in sociology, there is a standard or typical scope of sociological knowledge taught to the student. So we gain knowledge through that. At the same time, of course, we have a lot of skills that we have to also gain and learn and nurture, because some of the skills we already have, particularly when we were at the undergraduate level. Example, research skill at master's level and PhD level. Some of the skills we have learned when we took undergraduate courses earlier. Yeah? So we know research methodology and some of this research methodology 1, research methodology 2, and so on. So the skills that, there are many other skills that we have to learn. And communication skill is another example in this. But if we only understand that being a student in an institution is only for gaining knowledge, particularly professional knowledge, the knowledge that will enable us to get job, enable us to find or employment for ourselves. And normally with the knowledge, with the skill, we do have this. But another side that should also be part and parcel of the holistic knowledge and education and learning is values. Values. So here, when we want to relate, for example, to postgraduate studies, there are many types of values, yeah? But you can list down, of course. In general sense, we can say good values or bad values by nature as a human being, they are known. They are known. So sometimes it is not a question of not knowing the good values and the not so good values or the bad values, the negative one. But the question is always whether we observe it or not, we practice it or not. Yeah? For example, I used to ask my students, undergraduate students particularly, in the first lecture that I conduct, the first thing that I asked my students was, okay, list down or give me a list of things which are positive attributes, positive qualities, positive acts, and so on. So that I will write on the right hand side of the whiteboard. So they will mention all things, and I wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And then I ask, what are the things that you consider negative or not good? And I wrote it on the left side of the whiteboard. So when you have these two signs, you can see already that what comes from students, they are all correct. Meaning that as far as values are concerned, we know what is good and what is bad. Basically, of course, we have to learn more in order to know more. Now, so the question is not, the issue is not that we don't know what is good and what is bad. But the question is whether we do it. For example, being punctual. Being punctual is good. It's good. But are we punctual to class, for example, to all these things? So therefore, some of these are not that we don't have knowledge. We have knowledge of that, but we have not practiced that knowledge. So then what makes us to be better, to improve, to perfect? Then I think here is where we can apply these maqasid things. This is, let's say this one is related to al-aql, that is related to education, to knowledge, to intellect. And then are we having at the level, or are we having this at the level of only protecting or improving or perfecting? Meaning that if all this while, let's say if the good value is to submit assignment on time, but not good value is to delay it. So if we are used to do something that is not so good, that is always to delay the submission. Now, with this understanding, that should trigger us to improve or even to perfect it. So maybe the student or the lecturer give you assignment, and with the deadline, then instead of submitting on the day that on the deadline, you may submit it 1 or 2 days earlier, or even for some students I have seen also, today I give, even though I give 1 week, but 2 or 3 days he or she would submit already. So this is the good thing that I could observe based on my experience teaching or observing the students, what you call it, behaviors in the class with regard to all these things. So of course, this one we don't have to talk about what does it mean by this. Now, students' experience. So now we are talking about student experience, particularly at the undergraduate or postgraduate level. And these are some of the things that might be, some of this I am not very sure in terms of what is the context in which this keyword is used, but I will pick up one or two of this. For example, the transition from higher education to work. Let us take that as an example. That is this one. So postgraduate studies enables us to equip ourselves before we go out to work. Now, of course, based on our specialization, we would expect that the work that we are going to get, hopefully, is in the area that we are doing it. But that nowadays particularly is not a guarantee. It may end up, or you may end up with having something that is unrelated to your study or to your area of study. So in this context, then this experience of being able to maneuver within the circumstances that would develop or emerge during our time will give us a kind of what you call this circumstances which make us more creative, which make us more imaginative. Because if we know that based on the experience of our previous batches, for example, yes, they might have taken the same area of study, they might have taken the same courses, but given the situation that is beyond our control, the job opportunities out there are not that favoring our area, and therefore they ended up with having jobs which are not that related to our area. Now, but some of these students, they don't think about work attached to their area, but they explore other things because they know if that happened to their previous peers, it might happen to them, meaning that you may take certain area of study and expecting that you will work in that area of study, but the situation tells us that this is now not quite possible. Therefore, you may be thinking about having other job. So here, therefore, postgraduate studies is not only meant for having a standard thinking about connecting what we gain and score during our time to the work that is expected. Ideally, yes. Ideally, yes. If you are a psychology student, you should hopefully be able to get work that is related to psychology, to counseling, and other things. But this is not necessarily so, particularly in the time that is not quite predictable. So whatever that happens, then what should be also kept in mind is whether your experience now and later in the workplace enable you to see the connection between the 5 maqasid. So are you able to, let's say, protect religion? For example, some people, since they have to get salary anyway, but because of the non-availability of the work out there, and we have heard a lot also, people ended up with something that is not that good in order to simply get money. And by doing that, you sacrifice your own religious expectation. So things like this will have to always be in our mindset. So always ask ourselves, am I doing right? Something like this, yeah. And of course, you can also talk about the experience of different students group and so on. Now, most of the time, as we can see, people talk about career development, career progression, and so on. But yeah, I think this is another way of explaining what postgraduate studies means. I think here is just to compare what are the advantages and disadvantages of doing masters or postgraduate studies. You can see here the contrast. Of course, when you continue your study, of course, it involves cost, workload, and you have less free time. But at the same time, you are gaining more in terms of equipping yourself for future career progression, personal development, and so on. Some say that without without attending postgraduate studies or whatever, then you have less stress. But sometimes stress is not correlated with your engagement or educational engagement. It can be in many. I mean, it can be due to different factors as well. Yeah. So if with all these things, you could see that by having or by keeping that in mind, that there are 5 things that you have to always be concerned with, number one. And for these 5 things, are we at the level of only protecting these 5 or improving them or perfecting them? And this may be at the level of individual, at the level of our own family, nation, ummah, and also the world at large. And here we talk about civilization and construction. So as we all know, the higher objective of this can be described in one word, that is maslahah. That is maslahah, the benefit that we can gain at the level of individual, family, nation, and so on. In fact, if we can think this way, so anything that is good that can contribute to the betterment of our own individual, family, and nation, and ummah, it is within this general framework. Even if we are not very sure about the specific, let's say, ruling on this, we are not very sure, but we know what we do is away from what is prohibited in religion. I think that was the spirit behind the discussion of this. Yeah. So I would like to end this session firstly by reminding ourselves about the purpose of life. Earlier on, I mentioned about one verse of the Quran, Surah Az-Zariyat, verse 56. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah has created us in order to worship Him. So therefore, the entire life will have to be subjected to that, so that we hope to be able to gain divine consent and divine pleasure with what we do, either as a postgraduate student or whatever. Yeah. Now, with regard to purpose of life, this is very, very important, because sometimes if we don't have certain guiding source to guide you in knowing what is the purpose of life, you may end up with purposeless in your life. You don't have purpose. When you don't have purpose in life, then life becomes so chaotic and dull, and you have, it's a vacuum. It's vacuum. Some of those who do not have clear source of reference to define what is the purpose of life may speculate, may philosophize in order to develop or formulate a certain kind of purpose for them. I remember when they were not able to come up to this, then there was a saying that that the purpose of life is life with purpose. And the purpose of life is life with purpose. But again, the question is, what is that purpose? So I think Islam clearly defines this in the Quran, as I mentioned earlier. So I think the entire life is none other than to realize this purpose, either, at every opportunity and time and place. And it so happened that we are talking about the place, or the context is postgraduate studies. By all means, that try to reflect this realization in your postgraduate studies level. And I already mentioned about the divine system to guide in this realization of the purpose, and maqasid, or talking about maqasid is one way of looking at it. There are many ways actually how this can be explained, and perhaps for this opportunity, I have opted to present to you this kind of thing in this way. So I think that is all for my presentation, and I would love to learn more from you in order to improve my understanding and perfect my understanding. I'm not going to protect my understanding if I know that my understanding is not that correct. So if there is another one that is better and also that is closer to truth, closer to the intention of Sharia, and that will be also my what I desire to have. So I would love to have some interaction with you. Don't only think about having to ask me, but you can also give your opinions and views so that all of us will together improve and also perfect our understanding about this topic. So I think, brother, that is all that I would like to say. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, dear Dr. Hazizan, for sharing your valuable insights on treating postgraduate students within the Maqasid framework. Your speech has been insightful, informative, and thought-provoking. We are truly grateful for your presence here today. As we all know, seeking knowledge is a lifetime journey, and it is vital to learn with an open mind and an open heart. To remind us of this, I would like to share a quote from Imam Ali. May Allah be blessed with him. He said, like, learn in youth and you will be wise in old age. So this is the time we can learn from our teachers, from ourselves even. So don't miss this opportunity. So we are going to open the Q&A session so that you can interact directly to the prof and get the insight. I mean, share the insight what you have, and maybe you will get some feedback from the prof. So before opening the Q&A session, I would just like to remind one of our event, which is going to take place on Friday, the coming Friday, for the new students of IAUM. And this is as because due to still the COVID effect is going on. That's why we gathered virtually here. So for that reason, the CPS, we decided, like, for our new students, we need to have some physical activities. So if we have some physical activities, it will help us to make the good relationship among ourselves. Maybe we can get chance to meet our friends physically. So it's better. Always physical is better than virtual, I believe. So you also believe this thing. So the main announcement for this, the Friday, we have this physical outing program, which is organized by the CPS, Center for Postgraduate Studies, IAUM, the Gombak campus. In this Friday outing program, our plan is to depart from the IAM Gombak campus in front of the rector building. So we will go few places in the Kuala Lumpur. So then we will go to one of our campus. We'll go there to visit the ISTAC campus, IAM ISTAC campus. It's one of the very beautiful campus. You'll be surprised to see. And few other places too, and then we'll have our lunch, and after prayer then we'll come back. The transportation will be provided by the CPS. So if you guys really want to join over there, so please, we're gonna, already the announcement is already made. We're gonna share the posters and the link, the registration link, in the comment box. Do register by yourself, but remember, if you are really sure about it, you want to make it happen, like on Friday you are free and you can join with us from morning to evening, then only register yourself. If you feel like if you have something, you have some other commitments, please don't do this, because the seats are only 50. It's a very limited seat, so we can accommodate only 50 students. So if you don't want to go, so don't waste the opportunity to someone can register and we can pick them. So I think you already got about it. If you still have any questions regarding this or any confusions, so feel free to write it on the chat box. So our the officers, our advisors is here. He will inshallah answer this question, and even me, I can answer you, happily answer you that. So now I would like to open the Q&A session. What I mentioned earlier, Q&A session is the most interactive session because Professor, he gave this one of the very insightful sharing. He already present his presentations. It's not about the presentation, it's all about the sharing. So I believe everyone got the idea what is Maqasid al-Sharia. This is very important. This is very basic thing. We really need to know about it, as because this is IIUM is a knowledge, this is garden of knowledge and virtue. You will get some knowledge which is related to the Islamic perspectives. Even if you are engineer, even if you are MBA graduate, always the IIM teachers, they try to relate those studies in the Islamic perspective. So this is the opportunity. We have our expert here. So if you have any questions, just write down on the chat box or unmute yourself, and maybe you can ask directly also, because all are muted. But if you really want to, just raise your hand. We'll recognize, then we'll just maybe give you the opportunity. Okay. Okay, I got one not question. Salam, I got to know, same goes to me. I did not receive that. Okay, this is something else. So okay, doctor, I already got few questions. So while our participants is asking, maybe this question is also from the participant. They shared with me on the the personally, not everyone. So the first question: how can the Maqasid framework help postgraduate students to achieve their academic goals effectively? Doctor, we can't hear you. Did you get my questions?
Can you repeat again? How can what?
Yeah, how can the Maqasid framework help postgraduate students to achieve their academic goals effectively?
Okay. Now, of course, this question is general and broad, and I said there are many ways that you can approach this. Number one, we must know that there are two things that we have to consider. Number one is human effort at doing things, and number two is Allah's, what I call is help to make us to make things happen to us. We might be struggling to do this, to do that, but if somehow Allah may not allow that to happen for something that might be better to us, that might be true. But generally speaking, the sunnah of Allah is that man jadda wajada. That is, if you struggle, if you put your effort, you will get it. Because the laws of nature work that way, that these laws of nature have been created by God that way. So don't say that, okay, if I, even if I strive, I will not get it for something like this. Now, but what the Sharia, the Maqasid framework is meant basically to equip ourselves with certain value behind what we are doing. Now, the standard effort that, I mean, this is from my own perspective, the standard effort in studying and doing things and struggling and putting effort in what we do, like study, will certainly give some impact on this as far as what I call it standard nature of human effort is concerned. Meaning that if you put more effort, you will get more. And that's why in this context, Allah is not only Rahman, it is also Rahim. That we get a benefit from the abundant, what I call this, things that they have given us. Now, but Maqasid is to place us within religious consciousness about what we are doing. I think that is very, very important, meaning that maybe all this while we have been doing, let's say, routines. We have been doing what is expected of us as postgraduate students. The same thing that we do and other students do in order to meet the expectation and also to have what we want to have. But maqasid ash-syariah, while that becomes part and parcel of what we strive for, but it gives us extra additional inner motivation and also value for doing that particular thing. Assignment, for example. Maybe someone, based on certain way of looking at things, will look at assignment or task given by lecturer as a burden, or as a pure academic assignment. But if you look at the philosophy of the university even, you will notice that one statement mentioned about how we treat what we do as part of ibadah, part of worship. So that kind of thing. So lecturer, student may do different activities. Lecturer teach, student teach, student learn, student do assignment, student discuss, student engage with discussion and so on. But is there any kind of consciousness about doing this in the spirit of religion? That is the question. So meaning that it is almost like doing business as usual, but with inner consciousness about the religious value behind what we are doing, right? So if that is the case, then excellence, if you want to define and interpret it or conceptualize it as being excellent in the material sense of the word, you may be getting higher grade, fine. But in addition to that higher grade because of your effort, but with that additional thing that there is religious consciousness behind what you are doing, that is, you do this as part of ibadah, will also give added value to your excellence. So excellence in both sense, in the material sense as well as in the spiritual religious sense. I think that will redefine the concept of success. Success is not only to be seen in the form of 3.6, 3.5, 3.8, things like that. You may be getting lower, let's say, if you have strive. Of course, if you have, there are also those who have scored, let's say, 3.8, but he or she is also excellent in terms of having that inner consciousness. But that inner consciousness is only we know that. This is not something that is measurable. Something measurable. There is no, or 3.6 in terms of your intention. No. What is measurable is only on the basis of what you strive for. So if you get that. But what I'm trying to say here is that it does not mean that those who scored, let's say, 3 or 2.8, is equally 3 or 2.8 in terms of that religious consciousness behind the struggle or behind the effort that he has put. I think we must see this. That is the way I see it. That the two sides of our same effort, the normal, natural, physical, material side, and also the spiritual, religious, moral side of the same act. I think that is my response. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear doctor. I think our participants already got the answer. It was very detailed, and comprehensive. Thank you very much once again, doctor. So I would like to request all of you, please, if you have any questions, to our doctor. Just yeah, please write down it. Okay. Okay, all of our participants, she's Priscilla Obas. So I am a non-Muslim from Nigeria. Even though some of the terms used are strange to me or not well understand, but the teaching is interesting and I'm willing to learn more. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's why I keep in mind that I would assume there there are also non-Muslim students. But I think we don't have to worry about not knowing in detail this. Of course, there are always room for knowing more about this. But the basic idea behind Maqasid is the lofty objective of religion that we have to keep in mind when we do anything that we do in our life. For example, in the postgraduate, there are specific activities for postgraduate, and then they are done in the consciousness that this is not only for the purpose of achieving success or so on, but from the Islamic points of view, if you do something that is intended for achieving or for aiming at the consent of God, then you are spiritually rewarded. So I think this is a Islamic perspective of success, Islamic perspective of doing an act. The act might be the same. For example, all human eat. We eat. Muslim eat, non-Muslim eat, Chinese eat, Malay eat, Indian eat, and so on. Everybody eat. But for a Muslim with Islamic religion, there are certain things, for example, that are attached to the act of eating. For example, before they eat, they will recite Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. That is in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Why they read that? Because that is how religion teaches us to remind us, even in the act of eating, we remember God. So I think that is maybe a simple example that I can give. If this applies to the normal act that we do, like eating or sleeping, even as act of worship, what more if we are engaged with learning? Because in Islam, learning is compulsory. Faridah. Faridatun ala kulli muslim wal muslimah. That is, learning is compulsory upon a Muslim and non-Muslim. Sorry, a Muslim man and Muslim female. So that these are the teachings that will add value and spiritual consciousness to whatever that we do. Either what we do is the normal activities or educational activities. I think that is what I want to clarify on that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, dear doctor. Okay. So I got another questions. Okay, so from here I got direct message asking, Assalamu alaikum, doctor. May I know, is there any degree of priorities between all the maqasids?
Yeah, I think this is already detailed. Even the ranking of this, which one comes first. For example, if you go to the 5 even, there have been what they call this ways of how they rank. And depending on how you look at things, let's say a religion, for example, religion will have to come first because that is what is seen to be what you call all-embracing concept that cover also other things. And that is why I think if we want to reflect the hierarchy of importance, for example, it is already in the detailed teaching of Maqasid. For example, if we talk about religion, of course, I'm not here to teach you like what you may learn from fiqh and usul fiqh, but just to give you a kind of sense. People, what you call it, further deliberation on the concept of protection and improvement and perfection of religious is in the area of prioritizing the need. For example, terms like daruriyat, hajiyat, and tahsiniyat. These already are what we call the basic needs, and then the necessity and the embellishment, the three things. So certainly in whatever that we do, because of the scale or because of the limited resources that we have, there must be ranking, there must be auto prioritization in doing things. And I think Dr. Al-Marhum Qardawi has discussed this a lot in terms of the hierarchy, which one should come first and so on. So yes, even if you look at the discussion of, let's say, Hifzuddin, and they have further divided into what should be given first priority, what should be given less priority, and so on. I think this should also inspire us when we organize our day-to-day life. Sometimes when we don't really have sufficient financial support, we need to also organize in the light of this priority. Don't take a scholarship and buy the best handphone first before you can pay the fees and so on. Something like this. I think, but the problem with us is sometimes we number one, we don't think about prioritizing all these things. And I don't know. I mean, the one that I mentioned is not mentioned by me. Many people have talked about this. Some students, they say they don't have money, but looking at their handphone, then I think the handphone is better than what the lecturer has. So it is not by purpose, but sometimes they put embellishment that is tahsiniyat more than the daruriyat. I mean, more than the basic. So I hope I don't hurt you when I mention this, because I'm just trying to say something that will reflect the importance of prioritization, and also this should be applied in even our day-to-day life. Wallahu alam. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear doctor. I think let me take on more questions. So I got one question from Jannatul Firdaus Tushti. She sent me the questions. So what are some challenges that postgraduate students may face when incorporating the Maqasid framework into their studies?
I think if you do not want to be too complicated in this, I think it's very simple. Maqasid is only the thing that came later. It was not even in the earlier part of the development of Islamic religion earlier. The Maqasid is there, but I mean, the systematization and the coinage of the terms came later. We talk about Juwaini, we talk about Shafi'i, we talk about Al-Ghazali in particular when we talk about these five things. So it was there. But if we take the essence of religion, it's, I think, very simple. If you can look at the basic structure of religion, what is expected of us to look at it. Yeah. As long as we can make sure that in our life we are observing religion in terms of the 6 pillars of Iman, the 5 pillars of Islam, and then the state of being excellent in doing the 5 pillars of Islam, as well as the activities, other activities in life. Now, actually, these 3 broad categories of or components of Islamic teaching that have been grounded in a hadith, if we can take this as the basic structure And when we expand and expand and expand, then that will cover each and everything that we do. So if we are so difficult to remember the connection between the sophisticated maqasid discussion, then what is most important is to just make sure that we do what we are supposed to do as far as the program expectation is concerned, number one, but we do it in based on based on the sincere intention, that is just to seek the pleasure of Allah. As I said, you do it very hard, and then you gain the material hasana in this world, but at the same time you gain the spiritual reward in the hereafter, because you do this not only for specific professional requirements, but based on also spiritual religious consciousness. Yeah? I think that is, just do it what is good with that intention. I think that will cover what we have discussed. A more in a more complex way about maqasid. So in other words, don't worry about the term, but worry about the spirit of being Muslim in the real sense of the word. Yeah, because the terms are meant for academic thing to explain the connection, but that's why in one of the sessions that I conducted in Kuantan for the medical students and the dentistry and so on, I said to them very simple. As a Muslim, first, of course, we have no issue about or no question about believing in God. That should be the first. Now it follows from that belief that we perform what is expected due to that belief. That is to pray 5 times a day, for example, and to do fasting and so on. In addition, we extend this in daily life according to what we do normally, but we do this. What make it different is because we do it in the spirit of religion. We stay. What I call is we play with people. We eat. I mean, the normal life activities are treated not as a normal activities, but the normal activities with spiritual consciousness, meant for gaining Allah's pleasure. And that is why maybe I want to relate to what took place in history, or even now, if the spirit is now. If you are doing something because of religion, because of Allah, even if you are wrong, like in the case of ijtihad. Ijtihad is guided intellectual utilization, or guided utilization of intellectual capacity in trying to reach to the best conclusion about certain thing based on religious principles and teachings. Now, so earlier mujtahidun, those who have exercised ijtihad, there could be rules or rulings or opinions which might not be in line with what is there in the real, the real, what you call it, the intention of the lawgiver, that is Allah. Yeah, but if what you give is wrong, quote unquote wrong, it is not wrong because of what? So if your ijtihad is right, you get 2 rewards. If your ijtihad is wrong, you get 1 reward. You see, there is no tradition in the world that reward people because of mistake. Why? Because this mistake is done on the ground of trying to understand things based on religious principle. Unless right from the very beginning, we don't consider religion at all, and that is that is wrong. Yeah. So I think just do what we normally do and add that with that spiritual consciousness for whatever act that we do. Allah Alam. So the challenge, I think you asked me about the challenges. So let's, I think,
Challenges.
I mean, challenges are many, of course. That's why I do not want to talk about challenges. But I think as long as we can do it in this simpler way, then all other challenges might be dealt with accordingly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, dear doctor. So I think with that one, we just ended the Q&A session. We have still 2 more sessions. It's very small. One is photography, another is the conclusions. So thank you very much once again, doctor, for your insightful sharing. So hopefully our participants got to know so many things. Hopefully they will relate this Maqasid al-Sharia, not only their studies, but also their life also, because it's all about the life, because it's all about the guidance. And hopefully we can get the guidance from it. And as we have the expertise with us, if you face any problem later on also, feel free to contact our honorable doctor. He is always free for us, and he will just give the support best the possible ways he can. So,
can you allow me just want to say one sentence for closing remark? I always end my presentation by asking forgiveness for any shortcomings. And if you find any mistake in my presentation, by all means, please communicate to me, because I think our desire is only want to see truth. If what I say is not that true, and just come and see me and we discuss, I certainly will be open to accept whatever is truer compared to what I currently believe. So thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And the same goes to us for also, doctor, because we are really apologize for any shortcomings we have from you also, and obviously for the participants. I think this is all about the technical things. This online event, if it would be the physical one, maybe we could do something in a better ways. As because it is online, please forgive the any shortcomings we have. Okay, let's go to the our photography session. So in this photography session, we will just take the screenshot of all of you, because from morning to till now, so we have almost more than 100 participants. It was like 150 in the morning. Now it's like more than 100. So what we can do, just open your camera. We will take the screenshot of the photo. Then after that, we will go for the the closing remarks. Please just open your camera. If possible, open all of your camera. We just need to see your beautiful smiley faces, and obviously with the smile. Just open your camera and just keep the smile with you. I don't see any camera is opening till now. Am I audible or? Oh, video is disabled. Okay. Can you just make it normal for, I'm just asking our technical team. Can you allow all of us to open it? Let me check. Yeah, I think now we can open. Please open your camera. Oh, your camera is disabled by the host. You can try again. You can try again. Now I think everyone can. I'm seeing, I started to see the faces. Yes, can. Good, very good. MashaAllah, so many of us. I can recognize few beautiful smiley faces. MashaAllah. Okay. Can I request our technical team to take the pictures? And I'm also trying. Please open your camera if possible. If cannot, it's okay, we can just accept that one also. But if possible, just open your camera. We'll just take the screenshot on it and we'll keep it as a memory, the first day of Ta'aruf Week. And this is the study, the new journey you started from today with the IAUM, the Garden of Knowledge and Virtue. So let's have one pictures. Okay, we have like 4 pages. Maybe you need to keep on minutes like this. Okay, mashallah, we can see. Just 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute more. Okay, just few more minutes, maybe just not minutes, seconds. Okay, I think the last page, this one. Okay, this is the last page. Okay, thank you very much for all of you. If just possible, maybe you can, close your camera. So it's time to wrap up the event as we come to the end of today's, the first day of Ta'aruf's program. I would like to leave you with this famous quotes. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And it is narrated by Nelson Mandela. Once he said this. And the beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you. So let us all continue to pursue knowledge and education, not only for personal growth and development, but also to make a positive impact on the world around us. Remember, learning is a lifelong journey, and the more we know, the more we can contribute to society and create a better future for ourselves and generation to come. Thank you for joining us today. As you see, we already shared the link for the attendance, and we shared the link for the Friday outing program also. And I believe those who are interested, they already registered themselves. If you don't do this, I mean, if you still didn't do that, please do it so as early as possible. Okay, and before we finally conclude, I would like to remind you that the tomorrow's event will start at sharp 9 a.m. what we started today event. So please be punctual and join the event 5 minutes before it starts. And thank you all for your attention, and I wish you all a productive and inspiring postgraduate journey ahead in International Islamic University in Malaysia. And once again, welcome to this the Garden of Knowledge and Virtue. Really, you will take the best decision on your life. You will get some very good experience on your coming days, and looking forward to meeting all of you on the coming Friday events. So inshallah, I will be there. Our PGSS team will be there. The CPS representative will be there. Our honorable the advisor will be there, inshallah, to see you all. And signing off today, and see you tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.